Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, it's Tuesday, May 12th, and it is 9:16 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to dive right into the Q post because there are posts from Q from both yesterday and today. Also, I have some people to thank, but I'm going to do that at the end. Now, I assume there's going to be two videos tonight because, number one, I don't think I can get through all these Q posts in one video. The other thing is I do have another video and probably enough for 3 videos to tell you the truth, 4, because there's 2 here and I've got enough news to do another 2 videos. But, you know, my voice is not going to hold out that long. So I'm just going to keep going until I can't go anymore. But I do want to get through the Q post. That is number 1. And I would love to be able to get to some of the news as well. All right, well, let's just jump in here because if I keep talking, I won't get through even a tenth of what I need to get through. So let's just jump in here. And this is picking up where I left off in the last Q post. And we're picking up with May 11th, which is yesterday. And here we have drop 4202, 4202. Ex-Trump security aide Ezra Cohen Watnick, who left in controversy, rejoins Pentagon. Q proof. So back here, we have this from September the 2nd, 2018, and this was posted on a Sunday, and this is simply all Q said, Ezra Cohen Watnick, Q. So Q leaves us a post to something that he wants us to look at, which we're going to do. And he says it's like having all the pieces of the puzzle, but only after news unlocks can the puzzle, the full picture, be put together. And we know that with so many of Q posts, once, you know, the news unlocks the posts, and you'll see the news, and then you'll go back and see the Q post and go, okay, yeah, that's Q was telling us about this. So yeah, as always, future proves past. And let's look at this link. It's ex-Trump security aide who left in controversy rejoins Pentagon. Ezra Cohen, a former intelligence aide to President Donald Trump, who left the White House amid controversy in 2017, is returning to the administration as a top official at the Defense Department. Cohen, 34, has been named Deputy Assistant Secretary for Counter-Narcotics and Global Threats, according to 3 people with knowledge of the situation. The job doesn't require confirmation by the U.S. Senate. A Pentagon spokeswoman, Navy Commander Candace Tresh, said in an email that Cohen is filling that position as of today. Cohen was senior director for intelligence in the early months of the administration under Trump's first national security advisor, Michael Flynn. He was pushed out of the White House after clashes with Trump's second national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, including over Afghanistan policy. That is not proper English, but anyway, sorry, I can't help it. I'm a an English grad. Okay, so anyway, including over Afghanistan policy, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. He was also the subject of reports he had helped then House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes obtain classified documents revealing that members of the Obama administration had sought the identities of Trump campaign officials and associates inadvertently caught on government intercepts in a process known as unmasking. So interesting, and I just want to make sure that we haven't left anything out here. This is the actual article, and I think, yeah, so let me see here. For too long, he returned to the administration. His return to administration was cheered by some Republicans. For too long, good people who actually understand this president have been prevented from implementing the America First agenda, said Sergio Gore, deputy chief of staff to Senator Rand Paul, a Kentucky Republican. Having appointees like Ezra will change that. Cohen's connections to Flynn were regarded as something as a black mark against him. One person familiar with the White House House National Security Council inner workings said, and he found himself in skirmishes with career members of the intelligence bureaucracy, particularly at the CIA, two of the people said. But Tom Ferguson, who worked with the NSC regularly as a senior counterintelligence officer at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, said the majority of the folks that he worked with who were apolitical had the utmost respect for him. He is one of the good guys, Ferguson said. And isn't it nice to see the good guys getting these appointments? You know, he was probably unfairly treated because of his association with Flynn. On Friday, the Justice Department dropped criminal charges against Flynn for lying to FBI agents about his conversations with the Russian ambassador ahead of Trump's inauguration. Cohen's new post at the Defense Department will include examining financial transactions to map out terrorism and drug traffic networks. Cohen will be in charge of the office within the Pentagon's overall policy shop that develops counter-drug and counter-transnational organized crime policy. It also issues guidance and establishes priorities for missions that focus on countering illicit drug trafficking, illicit financial flows, and the illicit trafficking of people, wildlife, and weapons. He was a Defense Department official for a decade before Trump took office and was assigned to the U.S. Southern Command from 2010 to 2014, where he worked on countering drug trafficking, money laundering, and human trafficking networks. Now, won't it be wonderful to have one of the good guys looking after such things as human trafficking? And of course, drugs and so forth as well. But I think, you know, human trafficking is near and dear to my heart because I don't know how you can love people and, you know, see these types of things that go on. It makes me feel very sick to my stomach, to tell you the truth, to even realize that this goes on to the extent that it does. And I'm sure you are all on board with me there. So let's go on now. We have taken a look at that. Oh, and Dio Presso Lieber says, Ezra Cohen Watnick back in the news. I retweeted a thread regarding Watnick this morning. He used to work for Flynn. McMaster fired him. POTUS brought him back in a different position, and now he's been moved back into the Pentagon. Notice the very last sentence in the article. In 2014, Watnick was involved in counter-narcotics and fighting human trafficking. He and General Flynn know where the bodies are buried. That, according to Dio Presso Lieber. He is Sun Q2 on Twitter and a great person to follow. And we're moving on now to the next drop, and we're on drop 4203. 4203. Durham moving full throttle on Russia probe review. Top federal prosecutors involved. And again, this is from yesterday, May 11th. And we've got a link here that we're going to go out to in a moment. And Q said, keywords are fun for the whole family. They farmed the investigation out because it is too much for Durham and he didn't want to be distracted. One of the sources told Fox News he's going full throttle and they're looking at everything, the source told Fox News. Breadcrumbs were being dropped in the days preceding the decision that his case could be reconsidered. Now, we're going to, this is the article in question here that Q is linked to. U.S. attorneys for Connecticut John Durham is going, U.S. attorney, for Connecticut John Durham is going full throttle with his review into the origins of the investigation into suspected Russia-Trump coordination in the 2016 election, with additional top prosecutors involved in looking at different components of the original probe, sources told Fox News. Two sources told Fox News that Jeff Jensen, the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri, who was tapped by the Justice Department in February to review the case of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, is continuing to help with Durham's investigation even after the DOJ's move last week to drop the case against Flynn. The sources told Fox News that interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Timothy Shea, is also assisting with components of the investigation. They farmed, interesting because, the farm is, usually reserved for CIA. And so Q is pointing out that this may not be, just happenstance that they used the word farmed the investigation out because it is too much for Durham and he didn't want to be distracted, one of the sources told Fox News. He's going full throttle and they're looking at everything, the source told Fox News. The Justice Department declined to comment on Jensen and Shea's involvement. And Dio Presso Lieber says Q posted about the farm the last few days in relation to the fake news media members trained on the CIA farm. Another interesting point, Barr talks to Durham every day. It tells you how massive this is. That's true. And we are on to the next drop, 4204, still from yesterday, May 11th. And we have this, an Anon posted this, and they're posting about what is trending on YouTube. I know this is hard for you to see here on your phones, but all it is a little clip showing what's trending on YouTube, and it says Obamagate, and it says back with numerics. And now, I don't know what it is, what it's like now, but I know yesterday Obamagate, trended very, very strongly until they knocked it out. They, meaning Twitter, because what would happen is you would see it and you would watch the numbers and it would say 1.2 million. And then the number would drop way, way, way low, like in the next minute. So they were literally knocking the numbers down. Anyway, Q said patriotism on the rise. People need a spark to reignite the engine. And Lisa Mae Crowley says 3.43 million tweets with Obamagate and climbing. That's with Twitter shenanigans. I'm sure it's much higher. Patriots working with Q Team and POTUS equals an unstoppable force in this information war. Keystone equals acting on the truth. And Dio Presso Lieber says Q, pointing out that POTUS tweeting Obamagate circumvented the Twitter algos that removed it from trending. Now, I'm not sure how that works, actually. Q pointing out that POTUS, I don't know how Q doing that would circumvent the Twitter algorithms. I'm not sure about that, but if any of you know, please explain in the comments below, because I'm not sure how Q posting something would circumvent the Twitter algorithms. But, I don't know everything. I know some things, not even close to everything. Okay, and here we are in the next drop, and we're on 4205. Donald Trump is fighting for you. And we have a picture here, interesting picture. Let's make this bigger for you tiny phone people. I love my tiny phone people now, not making fun of you. All right, and we've got Donald Trump at the age of 20, looking very conservative, well-groomed, and well-rounded. Of course, you can't tell all that from a picture, but he looks mighty dapper there. And then you've got, Obunghole here, and at 18 with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And not, there's worse things than smoking. But I don't know of many, but I just don't like cigarette smoke at all. Anyway, here it says, the war is real. He fights for you. Q. And I think this is obviously a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I think comparing the two when they were younger, around the same age, is interesting. All right. Now, we're on the next drop, 4206, 4206. And here we've got a link, and Q says panic in DC. Q, why are they panicking in DC? As if we don't know. Well, this is the link that he is leading us toward. And it says, just in, nearly 2,000 Justice Department officials have signed onto a letter calling for Attorney General William Barr to resign over what they describe as improper intervention in the criminal case of former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Well, who saw that coming? Everybody. Yeah, everybody saw that coming because, that's what they do. That's all the Democrats do. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because they certainly don't work for us. They don't seem to do any work. Most of them are career politicians who've accomplished next to nothing in their lifetime, but they seem, to be perfectly fine with tearing everybody else down that is doing something. So, yeah. I would say that there's a lot of panic in DC right now. I bet you the toilets are nervous. They're probably nervous because they're being worked to death, trying to, swallow all the crap that these people are putting out from their hinder parts. Do you ever get so nervous that you have to have a nervous poo? When I worked for the police, I had not a staff sergeant. Well, he was a sergeant, but he wasn't a staff sergeant. Anyway, he used to say that all the time. He'd say, whenever he was stressed out, he'd say, I gotta go have a nervous poo. I don't know why, but that always stuck with me as rather humorous. Okay, and let's look at this. Nearly 2,000 former Justice Department officials have signed on to a letter calling for Attorney General William Barr to resign over what they describe as his improper intervention in the criminal case of former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Last week, the DOJ moved to drop charges against Flynn, who had pleaded guilty twice to lying to the FBI about his contacts with former Russian ambassador during the presidential transition. The letter, signed mostly by former career officials in the department, accuses Barr of joining with President Trump in political interference in the department's law enforcement decisions. Attorney General Barr's repeated actions to use the department as a tool to further President Trump's personal and political interests have undermined any claim to the defense that courts usually apply to the department's decisions about whether or not to prosecute a case, reads the letter, which was organized by the group Protect Democracy. Barr, in a CBS News interview last week, denied he was acting at the president's behest in his support of the move to drop the charges against Flynn. Well, yeah, we knew that was coming, and we knew that they would be very upset about it. And apparently they are. And this from Lisa Mae Crowley. The letter, signed mostly by former career officials in the department, accuses Barr of joining with President Trump in political interference in the department's law enforcement decisions. Keyword equals former. Sessions fired most Hussein acolytes. And that is, I noticed that it jumped right out and bit me in the face when it said former, because I thought, there's a reason why they're former. Right. And Dio Presso Liber, Q told us they would attack AG Barr. They are in a state of panic right now as they know what is coming. Notice the distinction between POTUS photo age 20 and Hussein's photo at 18. POTUS had been a patriot his entire life. Hussein, negative. Yeah. Hussein, not so much. All right. And we are moving on. And we're on drop 4207, 4207. Just a moment, I have to take a sip of my coffee. Not only will it soothe my throat, but it will give me the energy I need to power through these. That's good stuff. I don't care who you are. It's good stuff. All right. 4207, drop 4207, the armor of God, taken right out of the Word of God. The armor of God, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Q. Well, he says Q, but it's taken right out of Ephesians, right out of Scripture. And I believe that it is put here to remind us, I think that he placed that here on May 11th, yesterday, to remind us that we are in a spiritual battle. It is a spiritual battle, good versus evil. I want to caution you in viewing it that way, just as simply good versus evil, because it is absolutely. Obviously, God doesn't want trafficking and narcotics trafficking and trafficking in human beings. He doesn't want children being harmed. He doesn't, we know that, right? But the danger in this I see, and look, I'm always going to be honest with you and tell you what I think. Now, you don't have to agree with me. In fact, it's better if we do have a little bit of difference of opinion every now and then, because then we can learn from one another. And trust me, I learn just as much from you guys as you ever learned from me, maybe more, because there's more of you. But when you break it down and you say, well, it's just good versus evil, well, then that means that you end up viewing everything that the Trump administration and the Republicans do as good, and that God is for everything that they are doing, but against everything. And that is just a very simplistic and black and white worldview that I don't ascribe to, because while I do agree that what the administration is doing is very necessary, and I am behind them, I think there is danger in viewing them as our saviors. See what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm going to go on. I think you already know where I stand there. I just always want to make it clear. I am not a worshiper of Q. Now, I appreciate what Q is, what Q's doing. I appreciate everything that's being done, but I only worship one God. All right, well, let's move on now. And we are on drop 4208, movie clip from Law Abiding Citizen. It's gonna be biblical. All right, so, and this is a picture, and if you look right here, let me make this bigger. That is Donald Trump right there in front, a very young Donald Trump. And underneath it says, he fights for you. Well, let's take a look at this movie clip. And this is from a movie called Law Abiding Citizen. So let's take a look at this. And all right.
I'll keep my head up, and you will end this.
I'm just getting warmed up.
This is von Clausewitz shit. Total fucking war. I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
It's gonna be biblical. I don't know. I've never seen that movie. Have any of you guys seen that movie? Is it a good movie? Would you recommend it? Just asking because, you know.
Keep my head up.
I'm not really sure what the movie is about, but anyway. Okay, let's go back here. And it says, this photo, this is from Lisa May Crowley, this photo of POTUS as captain of cadets at New York Military Academy was used in a video narrated by John Voight, shown at the Republican National Convention in July 2016. God bless you, Mr. President. It's going to be biblical. And yes, it is. And again, same sort of theme that Q's had before, but as we're getting closer to the punishment, the pain, we're seeing more and more of this. So we are on now, drop 4209. Senators and representatives can be arrested for criminal offenses. Now, this is linked to Article 1, Section 6, Clause 1 from the Constitution, and it says the following. And Q just leaves this link, but I think we know why. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. Excuse me. Okay, now, beneath that, now notice it says, okay, and basically it's saying that when they're in the house, when the house is in session, they are privileged from being arrested. You can't just go in when the house is in session and arrest somebody that is, you know, a senator or a representative. So, but it's saying except treason, felony, and breach of the peace. Except. So treason is excluded. So they can be arrested while in session for treason. This clause is practically obsolete. It applies only to arrests in civil suits, which are still common in this country at the time the Constitution was adopted. It does not apply to service of process in either civil or criminal cases, nor does it apply to arrest in any criminal case. The phrase treason, felony, or breach of the peace is interpreted to withdraw all criminal offenses from the operation of the privilege. So, yes, they are privileged. You can't just go in and arrest somebody in a civil case while they're in session. But if they have broken the law, that is excluded. So they are able to be arrested. So it's interesting. It's saying this clause is practically obsolete, but it's not obsolete, and it doesn't apply to criminal cases. Well, everything that they would be charged with, being senators or representatives, everything they would be charged with would be criminal. So, yeah, they are able to be arrested. So Q just wanting to let us know that. Don't you feel better? I do. No, really, I do. Okay. Now, Dio Presso Liber says the privilege from arrest that the Congress supposedly enjoys while Congress is in session is obsolete and applied in relation to civil matters. It does not apply to criminal arrests or treason. Q firing a shot over the bow of Adam Schiff and a few others. Yeah, be afraid, Adam. Be very, very afraid. All right, and on to the next. Drop 4210, 4210. Q and team just identified another leaker. Okay, now this posted by an anon is breaking at 911. Breaking, Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell seeks to declassify any Obama officials involved in Flynn unmasking. ABC News. Now, and it says, below that, it says, you know what? I'm not sure if I got this one. It says, identified another leaker. These people are stupid. Now, let me just see here, because I'm not sure if I've got this. No, this is it. Okay, I'm sorry. So yeah, this is what Q is referring to here. Breaking, Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell seeks to declassify any Obama officials involved in Flynn's unmasking. Q is letting us know that the reason that ABC News has that information is because somebody leaked it. And he says, identified another leaker. These people are stupid. Yeah, and you know, they're always testing out to see what leaks. So I would, like, if I worked there and I was on the other side, I would be very, very cautious, knowing that they are trapping people, literally. I mean, they're not really trapping them. They're you know, they're digging their own graves. But yeah, I mean, they have to know that they are weeding out the leakers. They have to know that. Or are they really that stupid? I think they're really that stupid. All right, and Lisa Mae Crowley says, wonder who they fed this story to. Whoever it is, they just got busted leaking it. Watch to see who departs DNI next. Is this source the person Q says has been ID'd as a leaker? A source with knowledge of the matter told the Daily Wire that the list has already been declassified, and now it's on Attorney General William Barr to release the list. Yeah, that source is probably the leaker. And the leaker has been outed. That's good news. Okay, well, let's go on to the next drop, 4211, 4211. Anons have the memes ready. Q team about to unleash hell. So he is telling us, you know, Anons, do you have the memes ready? Come on, because we're getting ready to unleash hell. We're going to need those memes. And I like this. This is by an Anon. Speaking of memes, the fewer rules a president has, the fewer rules there are for officials to break. And this Anon says, Q, slow and steady, wins the race. And beneath that, Q says, we are ready to unleash hell. Memes ready? Q. Yeah, they're ready. They've been ready for a long time. Boy, I'm telling you, the right knows how to meme. The left can't meme to save their lives. Like, really, have you ever seen a good meme from the left? Because I haven't. All right, and let's come down here to the next one. Here we are, 4212, 4212. Rain coming, bring the pain. And this Anon says, we are ready and awaiting your go orders, sir. And that little 0 with the 7 is somebody saluting. That is what that is right there. And Q responds and says, rain coming, bring the pain. You'll know when. Q. Now, Lisa Mae Crowley says POTUS could not be more clear when he was in In his answer this afternoon to one of the unnecessarily masked morons posting as journalists, he says Obamagate has been going on for a long time. It's a disgrace if you look at what's going on and the documents that's been released. He hears this is only the beginning of it. And yes, indeed, Trump said that today, President Trump. And yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Now, let's go to the next drop, 4213. Acting DNI Richard Grenell declassifies list of Obama officials who unmasked Flynn. And I love this. There's, let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. I know. So many of you are on your tiny phones. All right. Okay. Declass, and I like this too. This says Gitmo Town, 2 miles, FISA Peaks, 1 mile, Declass Junction, next exit. All right. Ooh. Now, Q says Grinnell declass just done per Hannity show. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I think this was an Anon that posted these memes. Hang on. Yes. It's an Anon speaking here. Declass, and he put in these 2 memes, he or she. And then Grinnell declass just done per Hannity show, 8:41 p.m. Central Standard Time. Unmasking the unmaskers. It's on. Oh, it's on, all right. Unmasking the unmaskers. And then we have a link here that Q has left for us, and Q adds, be ready, Q. Now, let's go take a look at this, because we can. U.S. officials have declassified list of Obama officials who were involved in unmasking General Flynn. Acting Director of National Intelligence, Richard Grenell, has declassified the list of former Obama administration officials who were allegedly involved in the unmasking of then incoming National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. ABC News first reported the news, but initially said in the title that Grenell was in the process of trying to declassify the list of Obama officials. A source with knowledge of the matter told the Daily Wire that the list has already been declassified, and now it's on Attorney General William Barr to release the list. ABC News appeared to later update their report, which stated, Grenell, who remains the U.S. ambassador to Germany, along with being the acting DNI, visited the Justice Department last week and brought the list with him, according to the official. His visit indicates his focus on an issue previously highlighted in 2017 by skeptics of the investigation into the Trump's campaign's contacts with Russia, specifically allegations that former officials improperly unveiled Flynn's identity from intercepts of his call with former Russian ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Grenell's visit came the same week that Attorney General William Barr moved to dismiss the criminal case against Flynn following his guilty plea for lying to the FBI about his conversation with Kislyak. Sorry, that's a hard name to pronounce. Fox News reported in 2017 that the disclosing of Flynn's identity could be a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison because rules state that if an American with constitutional protections is collaterally caught in such surveillance, his or her identity must be protected. In an interview last week, Barr said that the charges against Flynn were dropped because the FBI, which was under the leadership of then-Director James Comey, were not conducting a legitimate law enforcement investigation. A crime cannot be established here because there was not, in our view, a legitimate investigation going on, Barr said. They did not have a basis for counterintelligence investigation against Flynn at that stage, based on perfectly legitimate and appropriate call he made as a member of the transition. When asked if the Obama administration set a trap for Flynn, Barr responded, Yes, essentially, they had started a counterintelligence investigation during the summer, as you know, related to the campaign. But in December, the team, the Crossfire Hurricane team, was closing that and determined they had found nothing to justify continuing with that investigation against Flynn. On the very day they prepared the final papers, the 7th floor, that is the director's office and the deputy director's office up there, sent down word they should keep that open, Barr continued, so that they could try and go and question Flynn about this call he had with the Russian ambassador. This is one particular episode, but we view it as part of a number of related acts, and we're looking at the whole pattern of conduct, Barr added. I think it's very important evidence here that this was not a bona fide counterintelligence investigation, was that they were closing the investigation in December. They started that process, and on January 4th, they were closing it. Former President Barack Obama responded to the decision by Barr by saying that he was worried that Flynn had been cleared from the illegitimate investigation because of rule of law is at risk, because the rule of law is at risk. So, yeah, but it's interesting because I wonder who that source was that gave them that information. That'll be interesting. But what they did to Flynn was absolutely inexcusable. Inexcusable. All right, so we are down to the next and drop 4214, 4214. It's happening. Yes, it is. And this Anon says, bring on the pain. And Q responds and says, it's happening. Q. All right. And we are now on the 12th. Woohoo! Maybe I will get through this all in one video. That would be just amazing, wouldn't it? For me, anyway. Okay. All right. 4215, we are on drop 4215. Trey Gowdy grills Comey, who has the power to unmask U.S. citizens' captured communications. All right, and this was posted May 12th, 2019. So this is a 1-year delta. And what do we have here? We have that meme of remember Comey out standing in the middle of the road. All those crazy stuff he tweeted, like just crazy pictures of him in a cornfield, corn ready to be cut. And there was this one standing in the middle of the road. There he was. And let me see if I can make this a little bigger, because I know you tiny phone people want to see it. I don't blame you. Okay, here we are. And what do we have here coming towards him? Mother of all. Yeah. In the shape of a frog. And it says, boom time, Baker. And let's come down here, see what Q has to say. He doesn't. He just has posted the 1-year delta of that. And that's it. All right. And let's come down here to Lisa Mae Crowley. Tomorrow is 1-year delta from Q confirmation of Anon's Comey, mother of all meme on the 12th of May, 2019. The March 17th, 2020 hearing with what is this? 20th of March, 2017 hearing with Comey being grilled by Gowdy regarding who can request unmasking of names of U.S. citizens in intercepted communications of foreign targets. White House had no authority. Gowdy specifically asked Comey about these people and whether or not they would have had the authority to request unmasking. James Clapper, John Brennan, Susan Wright, Ben Rhodes, Loretta Lynch, Sally Yates. No, they did not have the authority to request unmasking. And so Flynn's name should never have been unmasked, ever. All right. And of course, we have a link here. And Q says, listen very carefully. Okay, well, let's listen.
Admiral Rogers said there are 20 people within the NSA that are part of the unmasking process. How many people within the FBI are part of the unmasking process?
I don't know for sure as I sit here. Surely more, given the nature of the FBI's work. We come into contact with U.S. persons a whole lot more than the NSA does, because we may be we only conduct our operations in the United States to collect electronic surveillance, to conduct electronic surveillance. So I can find out the exact number. I don't know it as I sit here.
Well, I think, Director Comey, given the fact that you and I agree this is critical, vital, indispensable, a similar program is coming up for reauthorization this fall with a pretty strong headwind right now, it would be nice to know the universe of people who have the power to unmask a U.S. citizen's name, because that might provide something of a roadmap to investigate who might have actually disseminated a masked U.S. citizen's name.
Sure, the number is relevant, but what I hope the American people will realize is the number is important, but the culture behind it is, in fact, more important. The training, the rigor, the discipline. We are obsessive about FISA and the FBI for reasons I hope make sense to this committee, but everything that's FISA has to be labeled in such a way to warn people, this is FISA. We treat this in a special way. So we can get you the number, but I want to assure you the culture of the FBI and the NSA around how we treat U.S. person information is obsessive, and I mean that in a good way.
Director Comey, I am not arguing with you, and I do agree the culture is important, but if there are 100 people who have the ability to unmask and the knowledge of a previously masked name, then that's 100 different potential sources of investigation. And the smaller the number is, the easier your investigation is. So the number is relevant. I concede the culture is relevant. NSA, FBI, what other U.S. government agencies have the authority to unmask a U.S. citizen's name?
Well, I think all agencies that collect information pursuant to FISA have what are called standard minimization procedures, which are approved by the FISA court that govern how they will treat U.S. person information. So I know the NSA does, I know the CIA does, obviously the FBI does. I don't know for sure beyond that.
How about the Department of how about Maine Justice?
I mean, Maine Justice, I think, does have standard minimization procedures.
All right, so that's 4. The NSA, FBI, CIA, Maine Justice. Does the White House have the authority to unmask a U.S. citizen's name?
I think other elements of the government that are consumers of our products can ask the collectors to unmask. The unmasking resides with those who collected the information. And so if Mike Rogers' folks collected something and they send it to me in a report and it says U.S. person number 1, and it's important for the FBI to know who that is, our request will go back to them. The White House can make similar requests of the FBI or of NSA, but they don't on their own collect, and so they can't on their own unmask. I got that about right?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at, Director Comey, is you say it's vital, you say it's critical, you say it's indispensable. We both know it's a threat to the reauthorization of 702 later on this fall. And oh, by the way, it's also a felony punishable by up to 10 years. So how would you begin your investigation, assuming for the sake of argument that a U.S. citizen's name appeared in the Washington Post and the New York Times unlawfully? Where would you begin that investigation?
Well, I'm not going to talk about any particular investigation.
That's why I said in theory.
You would start by figuring out, so who are the suspects? Who touched the information that you've concluded ended up unlawfully in the newspaper, and start with that universe, and then use investigative tools and techniques to see if you can eliminate people or include people as more serious suspects.
Do you know whether Director Clapper knew the name of the U.S. citizen that appeared in the New York Times and Washington Post?
I can't say in this forum because, again, I don't want to confirm that there was classified information in the newspaper.
Would he have access to an unmasked name?
In some circumstances, sure. He was the Director of National Intelligence, but I'm not talking about the particular.
Would Director Brennan have access to an unmasked U.S. citizen's name?
In some circumstances, yes.
Would National Security Advisor Susan Rice have access to an unmasked U.S. citizen's name?
I think yes, in general, and any other national security advisor would, I think, as a matter of their ordinary course of their business.
Would former White House advisor Ben Rhodes have access to an unmasked U.S. citizen's name?
I don't know the answer to that.
Would former Attorney General Loretta Lynch have access to an unmasked U.S. citizen's name?
In general, yes, as would any Attorney General.
So that would also include acting AG Sally Yates?
Same answer.
Did you?
Very, very interesting. And to tell you the truth, that cleared up a lot for me because it answered a lot of questions I have about the process. So I just let it play through. Q provided that link. Obviously, it's important, and it's important to understand exactly what happened and why Flynn was exonerated, because they unmasked his name and they had no reason to, because it was not a lawful investigation. So anyway, let's go back here and come down here. This by Dio Presso Liber. He said, Comey was questioned by Gowdy and asked who had the power to unmask a citizen subsequent to collection of intel. Comey confirms that, see, I was wrong, because they did have the ability to find out or unmask a name. Confirms that Brennan, Yates, Lynch, Rhodes, Rice, Clapper would have all had the authority to unmask a citizen. The 7 counterinsurgency lines of effort: establish civil security, establish civil control, support host nation security forces, restore essential services, support to economic and infrastructure development, support to governance, and conduct information engagement. All right, and we are going to move on from there to the next, and we are on drop 4216. 4216, they have officially retained lawyers in Washington, D.C. Now, this is interesting. It says they have officially retained lawyers, and what is this link? Well, this is a link to the best law firms in Washington, D.C. So, and they have them listed. So I just think that that's interesting. We don't know who they've retained, but these are the top law firms in Washington, D.C. All right, and let's come back here. And it says, but Lisa Mae Crowley says on the 24th of January, 2018, Hussein retained counsel, 9 worldwide. At a minimum, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, Yates, Rice, Lynch, and Rhodes have retained lawyers regarding the unmasking. What a joke that General Flynn's former crooked lawyers, Covington and Burlington, listed as number 1 in D.C. Yeah, very interesting. And Dio Presso Liber says they all retained lawyers, meaning they are aware of their indictments. Lynch, Hussein, Yates, Brennan, Clapper, Rhodes have lawyered up. Okay, and we have this, the meme, the Punisher, and that is all Q posted there. And Lisa Mae Crowley said last time Q posted this ominous Punisher skull pic was 1 week ago, the 5th of May, with pic title, The Time is Coming. 1 year ago, the 12th of May, 2019, boom, week ahead, treason doesn't pay well in the end, drain it. Another example of Dem double standards. They were all defiant about nobody being above the law when going after President Trump regarding Russia and impeachment hoaxes. What will they say when Hussein and gang are arrested? No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. This includes former presidents. Hashtag Obamagate. Yeah, that's good. And here's something a little curious, a lot curious. Drop 4218, video clip showing the media taking off their masks when the cameras aren't live. So what are they doing? Virtue signaling? Why are they just wearing them when the cameras are rolling? And Lisa Mae Crowley says they're only wearing masks when cameras rolling so they can badger POTUS for not wearing one and virtue signal. John Carl tried to shame John Roberts of Fox News Network, but he also was seen without a mask in public. So let's go and take a look at this. We're nearing the end here. Okay, now let's...
Those demographics, no matter where they are, citing how important that is. She also touched on Lollapalooza.
So this is only 7 seconds long, so you have to, but let me see here. So here they are, they're wearing their masks, and then
those demographics,
and there they are taking them off. They're all taking their masks off.
Lollapalooza, no decision on that. Those demographics,
so why is that?
Where they are.
And they're standing awfully close to one another too, aren't they? Or maybe they know it's a hoax. I don't know. I mean, not that the virus is a hoax. The virus is real. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying. Okay. And this person says, explain to me why the media takes their masks off when they think that the cameras are off. Is it all for show? Yeah. Looks like the rules only apply to us peasants. Yeah, that's generally the way. Okay. And let's come down to the next. And we are on drop 4219, 4219. And this is interesting. This is breaking Los Angeles County stay-at-home orders extended for the next 3 months. 3 months. What are they expecting people to go without work that long? How can anybody survive for that long without working? Anyway, people used as pawns in their attempt to seek a taxpayer-funded bailout for mismanaged funds. Of course, he's asking a question, but we know it's not a question. He's letting us know that's what they're doing. They are using the people as pawns to seek a taxpayer-funded bailout for their mismanaged funds. That's what they're doing. What has changed? Nothing. People used as pawns in their attempt to provide cover for vote by mail. See, how could they be pushing vote by mail if everything goes back to normal, right? I mean, if everything goes back to normal and everything's open and people are going and shopping and doing this and going to the movie and going out to eat, then they can say, well, why would we need to vote by mail? We'll just go vote in person, right? But if they keep extending this this fraud, then they can say, well, you know, we got to keep you safe now. Got to keep you safe. So, you know, mail in your ballots. So people use as pawns in their attempt to provide cover for vote by mail. Absolutely. Is this about the virus or the election? It's about the election. Is this about the virus or a state bailout? It's about a state bailout. Removal of civil liberties. They don't care. They don't care about your civil liberties. Removal of constitutional rights. They most certainly don't care about your constitutional rights. Welcome to the Democrat Party. Dormant people accept what they are told. DOJ intervention coming? Well, I certainly hope so. They need to intervene. So let's look at this. Because Q has linked to this, California's massive debt should... Where did it go, man? It was right there. Okay, California... Oh, for heaven's sakes. Well, I guess I can't read it. Because it won't let me. Crap. Well, I guess I can't see this unless I subscribe, and I most certainly am not going to do that. So, yeah. Anyway, that is California's massive debt should caution against big spending. So, yeah, California is pretty much bankrupt. And, you know, they trying to get money any way they can at the expense of their people. Now, this by Dio Presso Liber, Americans are being used as pawns. California extends stay-at-home order by 3 months. This is sick. Californians must refuse to comply. This is only about the election. Dems doing this to attempt to get federal funding for blue states, which the left has bankrupted. DOJ getting ready to intervene. Thank God and thank you, Donald Trump. Absolutely. And this by Praying Medic. LA County will extend its lockdown for at least 3 more months. Corrupt politicians see your money as their money. California spends itself into oblivion, and now they want a federal bailout under the cover of COVID-19 relief. Those who are asleep don't question the opinions of experts or wonder where their tax money goes. Politicians use them as pawns. Will the DOJ step in and end the abuse of civil rights? Well, let's hope so. For the sake of those of you in California, my heart goes out to you. I know there are a lot of good people in California, and I know we kind of, get into bashing California, but I know there are a lot of good people in California that are just trapped in that system. So my heart goes out to you. All right, and now we are on drop 4220, and it says, we've got a link here, and it says, of the more than $3 trillion package, about $1 trillion would go to state, local, and tribal governments, according to 3 sources briefed on the proposal. Now she wants to write a $3 trillion bill, but no one able to see, no accountability, and no input, McCarthy told Fox News on Monday. I mean, this is how democracy works. This is a real concern to all of us. This won't ever become law, but it'll be the wish list of the liberals to try to change election law, fund Planned Parenthood, and make sure sanctuary cities get a chunk of the money. Coordinated or coincidence regarding California 3-month extension? The truth is in front of you. It generally is. Now let's go take a look at this. House Dems unveil coronavirus bill estimated to cost $3 trillion in largest stimulus package yet. Yeah. And there's, her looking like she's just got a fresh injection of something, because she's looking better. All right, let's listen to her. I don't want to either. I really don't want to, but.
Moments ago, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, House Democrats rolling out a new coronavirus relief bill today. She spoke. Comments were brief there. The package, including more than $500 billion in aid for the states, been a major sticking point for Republicans, and they're already pushing back on that. Chad Pergam, who picks up the reporting from Capitol Hill now. Chad, what did you learn a moment ago?
Well, good afternoon, Bill. We learned that the House is going to come back and consider this on Friday. It's going to be a very long day in the House of Representatives because they have other issues they're going to consider. They have to really stretch out these votes, taking about an hour, hour and a half to filter everybody into the House chamber. So they probably won't be done until 9 or 10 o'clock on Friday night. As you say, this is a $3 trillion bill. That's an eye-popping figure. It includes money for states, about $500 billion, also direct payments to Americans, help with voting, even money for domestic violence. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says it's a liberal wish list.
The American people don't need a far-left transformation. They just need a path back to historically prosperous and optimistic moment. American workers don't need Washington to inflict some far-left extreme makeover of our country. They need us to get rid of obstacles that might stand in their way.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy blasted the plan. He used polarizing language, asserting the bill would fund Planned Parenthood and provide money to sanctuary cities. The Senate dealt with coronavirus in several hearings today, one on reopening the economy, another on curbing liability due to the pandemic. Limiting lawsuits is something important to McConnell. The Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that seems to be the only issue which interests congressional Republicans.
With millions of Americans sick and tens of thousands dying, with depression levels of unemployment, the Republican leader, McConnell, said that Republicans have, quote, not yet felt the urgency of acting immediately.
Now, liberals wanted a bigger bill, about $4 trillion. They were told on their conference call yesterday that interest rates being what they are so low, this bill would never be cheaper. Now, something important here, the Democrats in the House did not negotiate this with Senate Republicans nor the White House. A couple of days ago, the Senate Majority Leader, the House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, said that they did not want to vote on a bill just to send a message. This bill is mostly an homage to the left wing of the party. And if you haven't negotiated with the Senate Republicans and the White House, the bill is basically a message bill.
Yeah, I doubt that's going to pass, especially with all that stuff in there, because I'm sure that they've packed it with a lot of unnecessary stuff, and probably all to benefit them. Yeah. Okay, well, interesting. That's supposed to be debated on Friday. That will be interesting to keep an eye on. And let's go on to the next, and I believe the last Q drop, if I'm not mistaken. And I am. Now, also, I wanted to let you know that Q has continued to post. There were a couple new posts added, but I'm not going to touch those tonight. I will come back tomorrow because Q could post all the way up to midnight and beyond. So, yeah, I'm going to pick those up tomorrow, but we've got a couple more here. This says, God bless America. We are being attacked from within. Well, that has never been more true. And there's a link here to Laura Ingram's Twitter, and it says 2 months ago, can't open until we flatten the curve to save our healthcare system. 1 month ago, can't open until we have a vaccine. A few days ago, can't open until we have multiple vaccines. Today, essentially, can't open until Biden wins. That is really good. That is very, very good. All right, and Lisa Mae Crowley says, Ingram Angle knows what's up, regardless of political leanings. Will Californians rise up versus this tyranny? Been seeing protests at the beaches, which is great, but a 3-month extension and no fall semester? Is that what Q was referring to regarding Watch California? Well, could be. And this is drop 4222, and the last one we're going to be looking at tonight. Oh, no, I guess I lied. There's still one more. It never stops. Okay, we've got, it says cameras on equals masks on. Cameras off equals masks off. And Lisa Mae Crowley says proof that the mainstream media is complicit in this overly hyped pandemic, which was intentionally unleashed to keep people imprisoned in their homes for one main reason, to cheat in the November election. And isn't that the truth? And now we are on the last one for tonight. Anyway, we are on drop 4223, and we have a link to this by Katie Pavlich. The overwhelming majority of people recover from this virus, Dr. Fauci. And I'm a little confused here, and I'm just going to admit it, because I'm not sure what Q is trying to tell us here. Dr. Fauci is telling us the overwhelming majority of people recover from the virus. And if that's true, then why is the entire country locked down? That's what I would like to know. But, and I would assume that's what Q is pointing out there. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But that is what I think. Now, I did say that I was going to thank some people, but this video has gone long overdue, and I am doing a second video. So I'm going to end this here, and I will thank those people in the following video. So I'm going to get this uploaded so it can be uploading while I record the second video. So you guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well. Sleep like this guy back here. I hope you guys have a rest like a cat. You know, nobody can nap like a cat. They have it down. They have it down. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great night. Stay safe and keep seeking truth, because, you know, deception bites. All right, guys. See you in the next video.